InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
This is InterswitchSPAK 1.0, and I welcome you to another hour of mind-blowing innovation on the #1 science quiz show for senior secondary school students in Nigeria. In the past 9 weeks, we have watched 9 teams of 9 scientists each, along with their mentors, pitch their big ideas, which they hope will solve one of these 3 issues: the problems facing Nigeria's public transport system, the out-of-school issues prevalent in our society, and the promotion of an all-inclusive health insurance scheme in Nigeria. All these in the Innovation Challenge segment of the show. Now, this team stands a chance to win the Founders Award, which is the reward for the Innovation Challenge. Keep watching. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is still InterswitchSPAK 1.0, proudly sponsored by IntersWitch, transaction solutions you can depend on. Now, it's time to find out which team will clinch the coveted prize for innovation. To help evaluate and grade and review the presentation of our 9 teams, we have a jury. Starting from my left, we have Chika Nwobi. We also have Tarebi Alebioshun, and we have Mitchell Elegbe. We have 3 topics, and for each of the topics, we had 3 teams work on it to prefer their own innovative solutions. So the first topic is propose a solution to address the problems facing Nigeria's public transport system, leveraging technology. Team Mercury, Venus, and Earth worked on that particular topic. The second is applying technology. Propose a solution that will help promote learning beyond the formal education as a tool to tackling the out-of-school issues prevalent in our society. Team Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn worked on that. And the third topic, which is the last topic, with the aid of technology, how can Nigeria promote an all-inclusive health insurance scheme? We had Team Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto work on it. So please tell us, what's the criteria for this assessment?
We're looking at 2 main areas, ideas and presentation. On the idea side, how well was the opportunity defined? How disruptive is the idea? Is there an impact factor? Is the idea feasible? And how was technology integrated into the idea? While on the presentation end, we're looking at how clearly the big idea was communicated, how creative the team's presentation was, and to what extent did team members demonstrate teamwork.
Okay, Team Mercury said average is not an option. So let's find out if they were above average.
If you take a look at the image on the left, at the peak period of the day, that's maybe in the morning or in the evening when people go to work or come back from work. This one is talking about the typical morning ride, that is in the morning. You can see that on the left side of the road is very much congested than the right side of the road. As you can see from the image on the right, it moved to the right and provided more space for vehicles on the left for mass transit. Now, the mechanism of these demarcators as follows. It has a wheel underneath which provides easy movement either to the left or to the right. And it also has a drone which is providing live feeds in real time and sending them to a control tower. A human operative can, with the push of a button, either move the demarcator to the left or to the right. In this case, it will move to the right to provide space for vehicles to pass.
When I saw the challenge, I assumed they were going to be looking at mass transportation, trains, buses, and so on and so forth. But they seem to have focused on the road infrastructure itself. So that could be the interpretation of the problem, or could it be a lack of understanding of the question itself? Tell me, what do you think?
I think that it's interesting the way they went about it in terms of going with a data-driven approach. I think most times when you think of transportation problems, most people think of public transportation, and not enough people look at individual drivers. So it's an interesting way to look at it. I don't think they necessarily misunderstood the question. They may just have chosen to go a different way.
I think this looks like a very elegant solution to that problem. But what I'd like to find out, maybe check out from you, is what mechanism will make that, I mean, you're looking at a long stretch of road, and we have to look for ways to move these things, okay? Could a simple barricade not have done it?
And I think it would be elegant and maybe not too technically difficult to get something movable, right? I'm not sure that movability needs to be real time, because they have already told us that there's peak times, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be real time. In the middle of the night when there's nobody on the road, or when there's less people on the road, the thing can be switched, and then at a particular time, and then the city would then know and understand that, in the morning this side has more lanes, in the evening this side has more lanes, and I think that brings out 2 points. One is that probably there are key points on the road where that congestion happens.
Real quick, we didn't actually talk about their water solution. I think they spoke about an Uber for waterways or something. It'll be interesting to hear both your thoughts.
One concern I had about it, I remember, was the idea. It seemed to me, they say Uber for waterways, but with Uber you call the car or Uber or whatever, Taxify or whoever. In this case, I don't understand if you're going to be able to call a ferry to yourself. So I didn't get that part.
So I think that is something we may need to give as feedback. We need to probe further.
Let's have a final word from their mentors.
Thank you, Jury. By providing a solution that helps the transport system on water, we've been able to address the congestions that you find on our roads, on our major cities, right? So moving traffic from the roads to the waters using technology actually is very effective, and is something that could be implemented immediately.
For every day you drive on Third Mainland Bridge, you see the waterways wasting, and you're wondering, why do we have to go through the hell that we go through when we have this thing nature has given us that we're not fully optimizing? For us, we know that feasibility is a very vital factor, but we're also conscious of the fact that innovation can be incomplete if we put the execution challenges first.
Well, if that is something that can be done, I don't see why not. I mean, it's like saying, I'm going from A to B, there's congestion, why not take an alternate route? In this case, waterways being the alternate route. I think for as long as that application can show us transparently all of these things that they talked about, it's not a bad idea, but it would be nice to see it at work.
So I actually like the Google Maps for waterways, because it's always nice as a user to get all possible options. Besides that, the Uber for water, he didn't quite say why it's feasible. I mean, he said it's feasible, but how is it feasible? I can't see why, if we have a working ferry system with a clear schedule, why we need on-demand water transportation.
So how well did Mercury perform?
For me, I gave Mercury a score of 57.
I scored Mercury 71.
I scored Mercury 67.
That's it for Team Mercury. This is InterswitchSPAK 1.0, the Innovation Challenge Jury Session. We'll be back right after the break.
InterswitchSPAK is an InterSwitch Switch a Future initiative.
He was born with no superpowers. He was just unique, with a burning desire to know more, to question the answer, and then question the question. To never stop finding new ways of doing things. Curiosity not only drives innovation, it shapes the future of businesses. So wherever it leads you, IntersWitch will be there, providing diverse digital payment solutions, insights, and opportunities. Because we're committed to finding better ways to ensure that your business runs efficiently.
IntersWitch, transaction solutions you can depend on. What keeps you going when everything that should be a stepping stone becomes a stumbling block? What keeps you going is Verve. Verve in your mind helps you understand that every stumbling block is actually a stepping stone. Verve in your vision helps you see nothing but possibilities. And Verve in your hand? Well, let's just say that's how you get rewarded for not giving up on you. No matter what you're into, Verve is key to opening the doors you want. The only question that really matters is, have you got Verve? Verve, the rewarding way to make payments.
Welcome back. It is still the jury session of InterswitchSPAK 1.0. Team Mercury's presentation has been revealed. Now it's time for Venus. They say they are red hot and blazing. Let's find out.
Can you imagine a world with NTS? The driver can wake up, check his schedule, and know where and where he's going to be for that day. No more running around the streets looking for passengers, burning energy and fuel. Also, the driver will be able to see his earnings for the day. He'll know how good he's working and how he should manage his time properly to maximize his profit. Not only that, the driver will be able to see the VIO results for his boss to know if he's in good working condition and if he's roadworthy or if he has to take a look at it. The driver can see his rating, so he knows if he's doing well or if he has to change something to maximize his efficiency. Now for the unions. We all know FRSC, NURTW, and the popular LASMA, always faced with the problems of the Nigerian public transport system. But now, it can all change with NTS. The officer can just stay in his house, log on to NTS, and see where the traffic is in the city.
For me, I think this is more adept use of technology than the previous one, I must say. But having said that, what I like about this particular presentation is that they took the entire value chain. When you want to provide a solution, you need to take time to study those who need to be part of this particular solution. So in this particular case, they looked at the individuals who need to get on the buses, they looked at the drivers, they looked at the owners of the buses. So the fact that sometimes the driver is not the owner of the bus is critical. They looked at other government officials that are also stakeholders in the transport system, and they tried to create something for each person. And I think one way to drive adoption is to have a system whereby different parties who are part of that solution all begin to move towards that solution because there's something in it for them. And I think in that particular area, they did very well.
I like that they've seemingly thought of all stakeholders, so the unions, the enforcement agencies like LASMA, the bus owners. But then for the things I don't like, the other team's solution was data-driven. This team just seemed to focus on one area. We're not sure why. We're not sure what drove that decision to just focus on public transportation. That's one. Two, I think onboarding of the drivers is going to be quite challenging. I don't think paying online is necessarily a problem because now there are things like USSD payments, where you could pay by a mobile phone, or you could even have collection agents. So that is a minor issue for me. But I don't think it's enough in summary.
This is a competition. These are young people, probably nervous. I was really impressed by their use of humor, telling jokes, and I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, that is the Nigerian spirit of enterprise.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Despite the fact that this was competition, we'll look for ways to make it fun, enjoy ourselves. We want the prize, but we also want to enjoy the process that leads to getting the prize. That's the typical Nigerian spirit.
Thank you, jury. Thank you for all your comments. What we've tried to do with NTS, our solution, is to drag our semi-formally structured transport system into the current century by applying a digital layer over it. That digital layer, the platform or the system, will govern all the interactions of all the parties and players within the ecosystem.
For me, I like the fact that the solution is almost ready to go to market. It utilizes existing technologies like your mobile phone, your mobile internet, the Google Map, the traffic management system that we already use today. Just put everything together and you pretty much have an application that can go live like that. And that is what I like so much about the solution.
What about our blazing stars, Venus?
Venus got 68.
I scored Venus 72.
I scored Venus 84.
Team Venus has impressed our judges, but we still have other teams. Let's see if they'll beat them to the Founders Award. It's InterswitchSPAK 1.0. We'll be right back after the break.
InterswitchSPAK is an InterSwitch Switch a Future initiative.
problems. Who doesn't have them? Some problems are embarrassing. Some are humiliating. Some are unsuitable. Some are testing. Some are unexplainable. Some you just have to laugh about. And some, maybe not. Whatever life dishes you, you can always be sure you'll have one less thing to worry about when it comes to making payments, sending money, paying bills, and everyday payments. Quick Teller, everyday payments made easy.
Welcome back. This is InterswitchSPAK 1.0, where innovators are discovered and celebrated. We've just reviewed Mercury and Venus's presentation. Now it's time for Team Earth. They say they're the real team, but are they? Let's find out.
Our solution to the problem is called TGN. TGN stands for Transport Guide Nigeria. TGN is an integrated, time-efficient, and convenient method to help users to access information on routes and make payments across different modes of mass transport.
Now, if you were to move from Ikeja to Lekki, all you have to do is use the website, download the mobile app, or simply use the bus station screens where you can check the schedule of buses and you can look for the one that suits you. Now, we have a temporary website where you can actually view transport schedules, see reservation, and in the future, we plan to add fund transport cards.
I liked a lot of things about this presentation. They had a very organized approach to solving a problem. I certainly liked their problem matrix and the different things they highlighted. I liked that he spoke about their process to the actual solution, so it helped put you in their mindset to sort of see it from their end. I think it's a very feasible solution. I disagree that solar is in the future. Solar is very much here. I mean, we already even have ATMs that are solar powered in Nigeria, so I don't think it's a stretch.
I like the whole design thinking methodology that just come in, and I think if there's nothing else, if that is all the takeaway, that helps them to basically find a more structured way to solve problems in the future. If we make bus transportation more attractive, then the incentive to drive your car, which is what we see in most parts of the world, people don't drive their cars to work. They go by public transport. That is how you can decongest traffic on the roads. And I agree with Terry 100% that solar is not the future, it's here.
So I like that they use design thinking. Design thinking helps you identify a lot of problems. I think they missed it in that when they now recognize all these problems, they now try to solve all the problems. He was asked a question by the panel about to what degree it solves the congestion problem. And he said, it's not a head-on solution to the congestion, but it still helps it out. And I think this sort of runs through the whole thing, is that they didn't really pick one problem and really finish the problem.
One of the things I feel that's missing from all three presentations on this topic, though, is nobody's talking about transportation on motorcycles. There's a reason Okadas are very popular. One of the reasons is that some areas are difficult to reach with buses and cars. So it would have been nice to see from at least one of the presentations how they can improve that segment of transportation with technology.
Thank you very much, Jury. If we have an efficient means of transportation, you have a solution, a viable solution that helps individuals move from one place to another. Ultimately, you reduce the pressure to, take out your own vehicle, use your own vehicle. And that's what typically happens in developed countries, in advanced countries. You have people leaving their cars at home and taking public transportation.
So to add to what Paolo has said, if a new method of mass transportation is introduced, like the cable cars that he mentioned, it can easily be added to the system. So there's no need to constantly reinvent the wheel. It is just a simple, efficient way to move people from one point to another.
It's not like we are borrowing something that works in the West. It's a localized, it's a tropicalized solution for the Nigerian environment. It's something that can readily work for us. So, and there is an expandable solution as well. So as we grow, as the country develops, we can always build on this solution. And of course, as these challenges come up, we can always expand it.
Okay, I leave it up to you all to vote.
I scored Earth 65.
79.
73.
This innovation challenge is worth all the effort put into it, and I can assure you that the team that wins will be blown away with the Founders Award. These and more after the break.
InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
What keeps you going when everything that should be a stepping stone becomes a stumbling block? What keeps you going is Verve. Verve in your mind helps you understand that every stumbling block is actually a stepping stone. Verve in your vision helps you see nothing but possibilities. And Verve in your hand? Well, let's just say that's how you get rewarded for not giving up on you. No matter what you're into, Verve is key to opening the doors you want. The only question that really matters is, have you got Verve? Verve, the rewarding way to make payments.
Welcome back. The jury has revealed Team Mercury, Venus, and Earth's proposal, and we can only wish them the very best. Now it's time for Team Mars.
Now, this is our wow factor. While we were thinking of this concept, we thought of robots. So we're thinking of three buzzwords: curiosity, fun, and humor. And these are necessary to provoke learning in our world today. So if you walk into a learning center and you see a robot who is speaking Yoruba to you, the next thing you're going to do is walk back out, call your friend, and tell your friend to come and see this wonder of creation that you've never seen before. And this is going to keep drawing and attracting people. We could have radio advertisements, TV advertisements, and things of that nature. And this is going to work for both the rural and the urban. Finally, we have the benefits. The four major stakeholders are the parents, the teachers, the students, and the government. For the parents, generally, it reduces cost because that's what we're attacking, insufficiency of funds.
I absolutely love the presenter's confidence. She seemed ready to take on the world. I also would have liked to hear from other speakers. I guess the final thing I really liked about it were the learning centers. So when you think, education, technology, you just think online learning. So it's nice that, they've sort of put an intermediary step where for those who don't have connections or, those who want to take advantage of the peer-to-peer learning system, they can learn with other people.
By the way, the young lady is very, very, very impressive. I think she might have been like a bit too impressive. Like the guys did not speak at all. So for teamwork, it sort of seems like that there was not sufficient teamwork as we, to the degree that we can tell. The other thing I thought was that, just staying on the issue of how they presented, was that confidence is great. I think, she responded to the question, starting off with saying obviously, which means like, are you, don't you get it? Which I think can be off-putting. So I think that's important feedback, like, to manage the confidence and just make people feel comfortable and respected. One of the problems they were trying to solve was cost. So it was supposed to be cheap, but then they had a robot, which is not cheap. It's more expensive than anything that currently exists. So I couldn't quite, there was that inconsistency bothered me.
I would have loved to hear more around what areas are they really trying to augment. Is it science? Is it arts? Is it mathematics? Or is it education in general? It would be nice to know. And once you have an idea what they're trying to do, you need to begin to look at the effort it will take to do these things. But overall, I like the approach. I like the clarity that came from the lady. But like you all said, it would have been more interesting for me if there was more teamwork around the way they presented their solution.
Very well then. Let's hear from their mentors.
Thank you, jury, for the opportunity to have this final note. We think that it's not just enough to make technology available by building apps and the likes. We think it's more important to get people to use these facilities and the technology that we have preferred.
Working with these kids over the past few weeks has been an eye-opener to the intelligent minds we have in the society. These kids came up with these ideas and the solutions all on their own with just guidance from us. They have been able to identify the prevailing issues in our societies, which has led to people being out of school.
The masterminds and revolutionary scientists, how well did they perform?
I scored them 42.
67.
71.
Teamwork is encouraged on InterswitchSPAK 1.0. And this doesn't go unrewarded, as the best team wins the Founders Award. This and more right after the break.
InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
There is a special breed of people who are never satisfied, who will not recognize the boundaries of day and night, who never compromise, who want the next thing they create to be better than anything that's gone before. People like this aren't always easy to live with. At IntersWitch, we owe them everything. Because of them, we continue to create a range of payment solutions that are quick, safe, and easy to use for anyone from a big bank to a salon. And by coming up with answers to problems before the problems happen, we've always stayed ahead of the curve. Without our special people, we wouldn't be IntersWitch. So wherever your imagination takes you, we will be there with the payment solutions you need to thrive.
IntersWitch, transaction solutions you can depend on.
Welcome back. It's still the jury session of InterswitchSPAK 1.0 Innovation Challenge. Let's meet Jupiter. They say they are the winning team. Let's find out.
I would like to introduce you to a special child, and his name is Mohammed. And unfortunately, no one has given Mohammed a chance to dream. For him, this price is just too high. Walking 2 hours barefoot to school every day. Education is something that he just can't afford. There are over 11 million children in Nigeria suffering the same way Mohammed is. But come to think about it. What if all this knowledge and all these skills that Mohammed and the other 11 million children need could be brought to them right at their doorstep? Because it's as they say it, if the mountain will not go to Mohammed, then Mohammed must go to the mountain.
I absolutely loved that he started with a story that was very relatable. I think that pulled on all our, heartstrings. He very clearly articulated how big the problem was, and he supported with facts, and all of that, and that was really good. So it really helped give you perspective on how big the problem is. He also spoke about funding, which a lot of them haven't done, a lot of the other teams, and different ways in which, whether feasible or not, but at least it's great that the team sat down to think about how this will be funded.
I like the practicality of how to distribute this. I like the fact that people have to congregate somewhere. I still feel the best form of learning is not the one you do on your own, but it's the one you do in a group, whereby you can also learn from the experience of others, the kind of questions they ask. Most of us who went to school, in the formal sense of it all, built networks that became useful later in life.
Idea-wise, I think very appropriate. Even though only one speaker handled everything, there was some sort of really humility in his communication. When the man asked him a question, he said to the man, I understand. He acknowledged, the objection. So I was quite impressed, quite impressed with the team. I think I'm ready to score, but I think there's a final word from the coaches.
Thank you very much. One important aspect of our solution is the distribution network. We had to use an existing financial inclusion network, which we are using something like QuickTeller PayPoint agent to actually deliver these boxes, these educational boxes. As we know, InterswitchSPAK QuickTeller PayPoint agent number more than 15,000 around Nigeria today.
So based on this, what we've done is to leverage existing technology and box it up and give it wings so that it can reach other out-of-school children in our society, both in the rural areas and the urban areas.
And the winning team, Jupiter?
71.
87.
79.
This is InterswitchSPAK 1.0. We'll be back right after the break.
InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
This lady has nothing to do with this commercial. Absolutely nothing. We just used her to get your attention, which, judging by your reaction, we've succeeded. You see, if we didn't pay her, you wouldn't have stopped to listen to how QuickTeller makes everyday transactions easy. Well, with QuickTeller, you have one less thing to worry about when it comes to paying bills, sending money, buying airtime, and much more. QuickTeller, everyday payments made easy.
Welcome back. This is still InterswitchSPAK 1.0. It is the Innovation Challenge jury session. Now it's time for us to meet the problem solvers of the world. This is Team Saturn.
What are the benefits? Convenience and ease of access. Imagine somebody that is
in a place where there is Boko Haram, the person can just sit in his or her bedroom and be like, oh, I don't really have to go and put myself into trouble. I just have to sit in my bedroom and like take this course, and I know that after I can get into college when all those things end. Most of these countries we admire today, like the Asian tigers and the Korea, when they wanted to improve their country, the first thing they did was to send people abroad to like acquire good education. So we believe that as you give more access to people, standard of living in the country improves.
I liked some things about this presentation, but one thing I noticed, and I think this is also something that's missing from the other two in the education space, is no one really is talking about the parents buy-in. How do you get the parents on board? Because one of the questions asked was for the minors, how will they access the learning centers or the other solutions that they had? And I don't think that question was adequately answered. I like that they had a clear timeline, even though they couldn't really say what was going to happen in that timeline. And I also like that it was a group presentation.
I like the fact that they consider people who may be physically challenged. I like the fact that they recognize that learning sometimes is best done in groups, okay? I like the idea of the working center, but what I would have loved to see is how practical it is to create these working centers nationwide. And this is where I typically would say perhaps the idea of the boxes that comes preloaded and is distributed could be a more practical approach.
I think in approach, directionally, they're going similar direction conceptually with Jupiter, the previous team, but they went broader. So it's almost like they didn't go, they hadn't gone as far in the ideation process. So they're still almost like brainstorm, like a brainstorm of like 4 ideas, none of which they've been able to like really focus in on and really put some meat on. But I think they did very well in terms of thinking about the problem, which like we said is an important part of innovation. I think they ran out of time.
Yeah, I think they spent a lot of time, discussing the problem and not the actual solution. So like Mitchell mentioned earlier, at the end you kind of were at a loss as to what the product was. I did like, however, that they made comparisons to parallel markets or markets that are closer to Nigeria as opposed to, what's happening in Europe or America.
I would like to thank the members of the jury for giving us an opportunity to give a last comment, a last note to support the presentation of Team Saturn. They talked about the blended learning, they talked about working centers, they talked about the hybrid classrooms and then delivering contents online. We think that it's quite important that the solution is rooted in the educational hub, which is their solution, which means the working centers become the central solution from which all the other 3 elements are deployed.
One key thing was the self-paced learning that we did. And this allows each student to show how great they are, on their own. I think that is very important.
46.
67.
71.
The Innovation Challenge is all about teamwork. And this doesn't go unrewarded, as the best team gets the Founders Award. But then there are 9 teams and only 1 award. Which team will bag it home? This and more after the break.
InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
He was born with no superpowers. He was just unique, with a burning desire to know more, to question the answer, and then question the question. To never stop finding new ways of doing things. Curiosity not only drives innovation, it shapes the future of businesses. So wherever it leads you, IntersWitch will be there, providing diverse digital payment solutions, insights, and opportunities. Because we're committed to finding better ways to ensure that your business runs efficiently.
IntersWitch. Transaction solutions you can depend on.
Welcome back. This is InterswitchSPAK 1.0, proudly brought to you by IntersWitch, transaction solutions you can depend on. The jury has reviewed 6 presentations, and they have 3 more to go. Team Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto have proposed solutions that will promote an all-inclusive health insurance scheme in Nigeria, of course with the aid of technology. Now it's time to run the world with Team Uranus. Let's see what they have.
You see Mr. Saliu here, he lives in the rural areas, and it is very possible that he's not aware of this scheme. It is possible as well that one of his mates that work with him at the bricklaying site has a radio and most likely earns more than him, brings his radio there, and then through the advertisements which we will do, he has now gotten the information about the scheme. Now he does not have a smartphone. What does he do? He can simply dial the number which we'll hear through the radio, that is the USSD code, and then he gives them his data, and then it's very simple for him to be included into this network in such a way that if he now goes to the hospital and he needs any medical services, it is given to him under the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Papa Solomon, can you imagine after working 35 good years, his health insurance ended with his job? Our health network, IntersWitch Health Network, we provide for people like Papa Solomon a free health insurance provided they have worked with a registered company or with the government for more than 10 years under our IntersWitch network.
I love the role play. I liked that it was very collaborative. All members of the team had a part to play in it. I also liked that they spoke about integration with existing systems like or agencies like NIMC, and so that they're not reinventing the wheel. So they're talking about processes that are already in place that they will take advantage of. What I would have liked to see a bit more of was how else technology could be used. It seemed like most of the technology is being used for registration and payment.
I think they missed out on applying technology to demonstrate the solution to the problem. I think some of my understanding of the problem was like awareness and cost. And so I was looking for how they were going to use technology to make people know that they need medical insurance, and then how the cost of medical insurance was going to come down as a result of some innovation. And I didn't quite see that.
They acted out the problems. We know the problems, okay? And I think they spent a lot of time discussing the problems, but that orderly process to solve a problem to innovate. So I didn't see any design thinking here. I didn't see an analysis of the value chain to know where the issues really are, okay? So I think if they had applied some of the things we now know to this particular issue, they would have come out better. But the question is, if we have health insurance scheme in the country already, how come nobody has really created something for the student population? How come nobody has created something for retired civil servants? What are the issues that is making it difficult for us to focus on those kind of people? I didn't see that coming out of this presentation. I personally felt they could have done a lot more. We've seen presentations from some of their mates, their colleagues. We've seen people follow processes, and we've seen the outcome of following the process and what you get out of it. And part of what they need to learn is that things should be done properly. You have to follow a process. There are methodologies that are created out there that you must follow, even when it comes to innovation, okay?
Absolutely. I'm keen to hear what their advisors.
Thank you, Jury. On our IntersWitch Health Network, we're going to be designing an algorithm at the back end that would offer packages based on income. So for instance, if you are earning as low as 15,000 naira monthly, all you need to do is impute that, and the algorithm search for packages that fit that. So it could offer you something as low as 500 naira on a monthly basis.
It's well known that everybody wants something back. You spend money, you want something back. So the network also helps us reward people that either have quite a number of dependents. So with the more dependents you have, you get discounts. In addition to discounts, you can actually get rewards for bringing more people on board, whether they're related to you or not.
The team that runs the world and the universe, Uranus.
52.
69.
65.
That's it for Team Uranus. But will they beat the other teams to the Founders Award? We'll find out right after the break.
What keeps you going when everything that should be a stepping stone becomes a stumbling block? What keeps you going is Verve. Verve in your mind helps you understand that every stumbling block is actually a stepping stone. Verve in your vision helps you see nothing but possibilities. And Verve in your hand? Well, let's just say that's how you get rewarded for not giving up on you. No matter what you're into, Verve is key to opening the doors you want. The only question that really matters is, have you got Verve? Verve, the rewarding way to make payments.
InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
Welcome back. This is the InterswitchSPAK Innovation Challenge jury session. Now it's time to go swimming with Team Neptune in the ocean of innovation.
The pharmacies are the major point of healthcare in Nigeria. Most people, educated or not, reach out to the pharmacies more than they actually go to hospitals because it's easier. So we suggested that the pharmacies be put on or empowered by the NHIS. We also have the use of web doctors and telemedicine. Web doctors, these are doctors that you see online because not every Nigerian is willing to go out from their home to go to the hospital. So the web doctor is available for those who have data and Wi-Fi. For those who do not, there is a telemedicine app or a telemedicine service. You can call the doctor, talk about your problem, he diagnoses you and refers you to the nearest pharmacy around you based on your location. Then we have the web app and the USSD code. That will allow people to access hospitals around them because in the health insurance scheme, people sign on to one hospital. But it's not convenient when I'm in Victoria Island and my hospital I signed on to is in Ikeja. I have to start running back. But this app and this USSD code for those who use normal phones is going to help them to find the nearest hospital around them that has their data and can treat them.
I like the way they compared Nigeria and Ghana. You know, sometimes when you look at penetration, you think it's almost impossible. So these are two countries that went in this journey at about the same time, and you can see the big difference. One is 3%, one is 50%. One other thing they should have done, which I think they missed out on, was to find out why was Ghana successful.
I agree.
And begin to learn what kind of innovation they need to bring in. I think that was missing. So it's not just enough to pick data to say 3%, 50%, but what led Ghana to move from wherever they were before to 50%? In their lives, perhaps the solution for Nigeria also.
And this is what was missing from the previous presentation was a structured thinking, structured approach. You don't get the sense that they are just looking for technologies to plug in. It's relevant, it's valid, it's new, it's cutting edge, and it's innovative. This is an innovation. So I commend that. One
of the things I also really liked that they did was they included stakeholders that I previously hadn't thought of, like the pharmacies. And that's very typical Nigerian behavior to go to the pharmacist and have the pharmacist sort of diagnose whatever you think is wrong with you and just buy medication without any prescription. So I think it was great that they thought that far. And they also introduced things like use technology more than the previous team did. So in things like telemedicine and, web doctors.
One other area that I had hoped they would touch on, which I didn't quite see, again, I hope the next team will say it, is at the end of the day, you don't just want to have health insurance, okay? You want to improve the quality of life. You want to reduce or eliminate diseases. There's a lot of data in health that we're not using today. So it would have been nice if you're using technology, how can we use technology to get ideas of disease prevalence? Why is malaria more prevalent in certain areas? You can see. Based on that information and what we know, how can we begin to work towards eliminating that kind of disease? The idea is not just to treat, but to treat and hopefully ensure that it doesn't come back.
Just to make an important point, technology is not enough to solve our health insurance problems. One very important factor that we need to take into consideration is we require the right type of fiscal policies and enforcement of those policies mainly by the entities who have the regulatory powers to do so. And we also require at least the government from the federal level to have the political will to see this through.
For the funding issue, because we know 64% of Nigerians are not able to afford health insurance, anytime you do a recharge, a certain percentage of that airtime goes towards health insurance.
The right framework, the right funding means wealth for everyone in the nation. It means doctors, nurses, and even Nigeria as a whole will begin to record a new stream of income. Thank you.
80?
83?
75.
The Innovation Challenge is all about teamwork and preferring technological solutions to prevalent issues in our society. It's still InterswitchSPAK 1.0 Innovation Challenge Jury Series. Stay tuned, we'll be back after the break.
Penicillin, ethanol, flour, sugar, glue, whiskey, cornstalk, starch, oil, livestock feed, all from corn. You will discover endless opportunities when you search deeper, and to enjoy their full worth, you need an innovative payment solutions partner that creates value from the obvious and sees opportunity in the not so obvious.
IntersWitch. Transaction solutions you can depend on. InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
Welcome back. This is still InterswitchSPAK 1.0, proudly brought to you by IntersWitch, transaction solutions you can depend on. Now we're down to the final team, Team Pluto. They are going to take us beyond the stars, but then let's find out if they'll take us all the way.
Mr. Mohammed, a common Nigerian like you and me, one day woke up expressing severe abdominal pains and was just given painkillers after going to a Nigerian hospital. He later went on a trip to India where they diagnosed him with liver malfunction and he had to undergo a liver transplant over there. What we are seeing for this video showcases a lot of things. One of them is that most hospitals in our country today lack the basic structure to treat the thousands of patients that influx them day after day.
We went on a research to get the opinion of the Nigerian population on what they think of health insurance. We discovered that the Nigerian population are actually interested in health insurance and are willing to pay an average of 6,000 naira yearly.
I really like that there was teamwork and most of the team members spoke, but I think that they should have spent a lot more time working on their presentation. It was difficult for me to follow and, get to the meat of their solution. They mentioned a rating system, which I think is quite interesting because I guess that will help you at some point grade the various healthcare providers.
I think what stood out for me was the effort to go out there to find out what people are willing to pay. I think that is very unique. Nobody else spoke about that. But overall, I think the team was together. Like you rightly said, the presentation could have been better. Sometimes I get this feeling they are focusing on the health insurance scheme sometimes, and some other time I get the feeling they're looking at something else.
In this health people, like the first people did the drama, these ones did video editing, and so I think that maybe the problem is too hard, so they chose a different problem to work on, which is creativity. So I think it was good content, but the substance was insufficient.
We focused on solving the top 3 diseases that people go to the hospitals for. If you have immunization, you can solve some of these problems. The health insurance is supposed to address that so that if anybody has health insurance, the person has access to be immunized.
Then there's a second bit around making sure that we make the cost to serve in the government hospitals a bit more realistic. That is, the prices should go up. And when that happens, there's an incentive for people to go into insurance. Because if they are paying very low amounts for care in the hospitals, there's no real incentive for insurance.
So yeah, we are giving enrollees, we are giving those below the poverty line, we are giving the 96% not covered healthcare, but what is the feedback? So there'll be a rating site, on our site rather, there'll be a rating column to rate personnel, to rate healthcare, to rate the insurance scheme, and also give comments on what you think they should improve. So that would help to check the quality of care you're giving the enrollees.
58.
56.
63.
The jury has reviewed all 9 presentations and they have come to a verdict. Which team will win the Founders Award, which is the prize for the Innovation Challenge of InterswitchSPAK 1.0? We'll find out right after the break.
InterswitchSPAK is an IntersWitch Switch a Future initiative.
He was born with no superpowers. He was just unique, with a burning desire to know more, to question the answer, and then question the question, to never stop finding new ways of doing things. Curiosity not only drives innovation, it shapes the future of businesses. So wherever it leads you, IntersWitch will be there, providing diverse digital payment solutions, insights, and opportunities. Because we're committed to finding better ways to ensure that your business runs efficiently.
IntersWitch. Transaction solutions you can depend on.
Now we've gone through all the 9 presentations and their scores. It's time to find out which team gave the most viable solution.
I think the question on everyone's mind is for Mitchell. You had a score as low as 42. Are you just really hard on people, or are you stingy with your points?
Apart from the scoring sheet, which I followed, I looked at this from the point of view of if I was to put my hard-earned money behind any of these ideas, which one will I? So if you're not likely going to get my money, then anything less than 50 is appropriate. But I think the overall thing is, if we all agree that on the average, the top performers clearly resonate with all 3 of us, then the score doesn't really matter. It is to ensure that at the end of the day, who I think is the best happens to be who you think is the best, and so on and so forth. And if the gap is if we don't seem to agree as to who the overall performer is, then maybe we have a problem. But again, we haven't done the final calculation. It would be nice to know if we all seem to resonate around the same sort of teams for the final results.
Okay, that's fair. And for you, who would you say what was the team that really stood out for you?
I think if you look at it from 2 sides, right? I like the practicality of the transportation solution, Venus. I like the practicality. It looks like something that I can invest in right now, especially if I have the support of the government. In terms of innovation, I think the healthcare one that used blockchain, I think that was Neptune, who they introduced blockchain. They thought about the different problems of the different stakeholders. They thought about even bringing in the pharmacies into the value chain. They were I like their process. So for me, I think they carried it.
Excellent.
That is interesting because Neptune also got my highest score. So at least on that one, we agree. We'll both invest in Neptune.
I think it's clear to everyone that this was, we had some fantastic solutions and very innovative presentations and solutions. The score range for the top 4 is quite close. So with the lowest in the top 4 scoring 217 and the highest winning by 1 point with just 238. Well done to all the teams. I will start with the team in the 3rd position with 224, Team Venus. Congratulations. In 2nd place with 237, Team Jupiter. And our big winner in 1st place with 238, just 1 point more than Jupiter, is Team Neptune. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I think for me, the key takeaway for the teams who didn't make it into the top 3 or top 4 is there was a lot of constructive feedback. It certainly shouldn't look at this as an opportunity not to compete again, but learn from the feedback and improve in the next opportunity they're given like this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to Team Neptune. And to the other 8 teams, you all are winners. But as you know, there can only be one clear winner on InterswitchSPAK Innovation Challenge, and it is Team Neptune. Just as there is just one clear winner in the Innovation Challenge, so also will there be one clear winner in the InterswitchSPAK TV series. More on this right after the break.
How do you become the voice of an entire continent when all the voices around you are shouting, no, you can't do it? What keeps you going when everything that should be a stepping stone becomes a stumbling block? What keeps you going is verve. You see, verve in your mind helps you understand that every stumbling block is actually a stepping stone. Verve in your vision helps you see nothing but possibilities. Verve in your heart gets you back up every time. And verve in your hand? Well, let's just say that's how you get rewarded for not giving up on you. No matter what you're into, verve is key to opening the doors you want. So forget all the questions they ask. The only question that really matters is, have you got verve? Verve, the rewarding way to make payments.
InterswitchSPAK is an InterSwitch Switch a Future initiative.
I listen to a lot of pitches. I've invested a lot of startups. So for me, this was the first time of listening to pitches from people so young, and I've really been blown away. I don't know how much work the mentors and advisors did with them, but they were really structured in their approach to solving these problems. In each of the segments, I spent some time thinking about what, if it was me, what would I come up with? It's quite similar, so I say congrats to me as well. But no, actually, very, very impressed with the team, very impressed with the competition, very hopeful, very inspiring about the future of Nigeria. I think if we have people like this working on our problems, then we can truly say that the future is brighter for this country.
Congratulations to all the participating teams. And especially to our winners. It was certainly a very tough competition. It's not very often we get to see such innovation and passion from teenagers. I think this is a wonderful initiative from Interswitch, and I look forward to many more things like this that they do. It would be interesting, and I guess we're all anticipating where this is going to end up. So we would like to see if some of these ideas are actually rolled out into actual products and companies. Congratulations once more to everyone.
What we have seen this period from the students suggests to me that perhaps there's something we're doing correctly as far as secondary education is concerned in this country. We congratulate the winners. Like we've always said, every student that took part in this competition is clearly a winner. But as you all know, whenever there's a competition, there must be an overall winner. We'd like to congratulate the overall winner, and we wish them the very best. Interswitch takes very seriously some of the ideas that we have seen, and in the not too distant future, you will see that a lot of these ideas will come to fruition. And our hope is that in one form or the other, you guys will be part of that solution when it finally comes to life.
Congratulations to Team Neptune, as they have won for themselves the Founders Award, which is the prize for the Innovation Challenge of InterswitchSPAK 1.0. InterswitchSPAK 1.0 continues next week, where we will take on the first of the 3 semi-finals, which promises to be quite interesting. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at InterswitchSPAK to share in the fun. From us here at the studio, till we meet again, bye for now.
InterswitchSPAK is an Interswitch Switch a Future initiative.